What if I told you there's a disease turning America's deer into real-life zombies? This isn't science fiction or computer effects. This is happening right now across 31 states. The truly terrifying question isn't whether zombie deers exist, it's whether humans could be next.
Oh.
What's that? Yes, I agree this does seem like something from those human horror entertainment programs. Let's take a closer look at what our cameras recorded. Our explorer was documenting Earth's wildlife when something stopped him cold. Between the lush green trees stood what appeared to be a deer, but something was terribly wrong. Its ribs protruded through patchy fur like a walking skeleton. Despite standing in knee-high grass, it ignored the food entirely. Instead, thick strands of drool dangled from its mouth, glistening in the sunlight as they pooled on the ground below. But those eyes, those were the true nightmare. Once bright and alert, they now appeared milky and vacant, staring endlessly at nothing. The creature lurched forward with broken, puppet-like movements, dragging its hooves as if they weighed 1,000 pounds. When a twig snapped nearby, the healthy deer bolted, a synchronized ballet of white tails and powerful legs. But our infected deer? It just stood there, swaying. When it finally tried to run, its legs buckled and sprawled in 4 different directions. It stumbled, rose, then froze, as if it had forgotten what it was doing mid-motion. Game wardens have documented truly disturbing behaviours. In Colorado, motion-sensing cameras captured a deer standing motionless for 18 hours straight, as if frozen in time. A Michigan hunter described finding a deer lying on its side, still alive, continuously pedaling its legs as if running, wearing a circular trench into the forest floor. Most heartbreaking was a mother deer in Wyoming who no longer recognised her own fawn, attacking it when it approached for milk. As the disease progresses, you can actually see the mental deterioration. The animals forget to groom, their once sleek coats becoming matted with dirt and parasites. They stop responding to seasonal changes, standing exposed during snowstorms or in blazing midday sun. Their world shrinks to confusion and suffering until death finally takes them. You're right to be concerned. Zombie deer does sound like something humans made up, but this is very real, and the science behind it is even more disturbing than what we've observed. Scientists call it chronic wasting disease, or CWD. But the nickname zombie deer disease isn't just media sensationalism, it's disturbingly accurate. CWD belongs to a terrifying class of disorders called transmissible spongiform encephalopathies. Under a microscope, infected brains don't just show damage, they're riddled with countless microscopic holes, literally turning the brain into a sponge as tissue dies. The once solid control centre becomes a hollowed out shell, explaining the complete behavioural breakdown. But what causes this nightmarish transformation? Not a virus, not bacteria, not even a parasite. Something far worse. Prions, rogue proteins that are perhaps the most frightening biological agents on Earth. Imagine a perfectly folded origami crane. Now imagine this crane can force every piece of paper it touches to also fold into a crane, which then forces more paper to fold, creating an unstoppable chain reaction. That's essentially what prions do to healthy brain proteins. These misfolded proteins are virtually indestructible. They survive temperatures that would vaporize most organisms, over 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit. Freeze them, eradicate them, soak them in formaldehyde, they remain infectious. Standard sterilization methods that eliminate every known virus and bacteria, completely useless against prions. A forest can remain contaminated for decades after an infected deer decomposed there. They're so durable that some researchers speculate certain prions could remain dangerous for over 50 years in soil. Once CWD begins, it's 100% fatal. No treatments, no survivors, no exceptions. The disease has now infiltrated deer populations across 31 US states and 4 Canadian provinces, with new areas detecting it every year. In some Wisconsin counties, infection rates have hit 50% of all tested deer. The disease spreads with terrifying efficiency. Infected deer shed prions in their saliva, blood, urine, and feces. A healthy deer can catch it by drinking from a water source where an infected deer drooled months earlier. Even plants growing in contaminated soil can absorb prions through their roots and transmit them to animals that eat their leaves. CWD's most insidious trait is its lengthy incubation period. A deer can be infected and contagious for 18 months before showing any symptoms. By the time you see a staggering zombie deer, hundreds more already carry the disease invisibly. Recent research from the University of Texas found something truly alarming. When prions make contact with certain common soil minerals, they can multiply without a host organism. This means the environment itself becomes a disease reservoir, creating a virtually permanent cycle of infection. But the question humans really want answered: could this nightmare leap from deer to us? Could we be next? I understand your concern, but here's the question I know is causing your tentacles to curl. Can these prions affect humans, or possibly even visitors from other worlds? So, here's the good news. Today, there are 0 confirmed cases of CWD infecting humans. Despite being discovered in the 1960s, no human has been documented catching it directly from deers. But, and this is a significant but, prion diseases have jumped between species before, with devastating consequences. In the 1990s, mad cow disease leapt from cattle to humans, causing variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, a horrific brain disorder that killed over 200 people. The evidence of CWD's potential to infect humans is deeply concerning. In laboratory studies, CWD prions can convert normal human brain proteins into the disease-causing form. The barrier between species exists, but may not be impenetrable. In 2017, Canadian researchers successfully infected macaque monkeys with CWD by feeding them infected deer meat. This sent shockwaves through the scientific community because macaques are primates like us, our close evolutionary relatives. If they can catch it, the possibility exists that we could too. The Centers for Disease Control doesn't mince words in their guidance. Hunters in CWD zones should have every deer tested before eating. Never consume meat from a deer showing any symptoms. Many researchers worry we're facing a ticking time bomb. Dr. Michael Osterholm, director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research at the University of Minnesota, testified before his state legislator. It is probable that human cases associated with CWD will be documented in the years ahead. It's possible that the number of human cases will be substantial. The potential exposure routes are multiplying. Wildlife biologists have documented crows, coyotes, and other scavengers feeding on infected carcasses, possibly spreading prions across wider areas. The economic stakes are enormous. The US deer hunting industry generates over $40 billion annually and supports more than 500,000 jobs. Even beyond dollars, North American ecosystems depend on healthy deer populations as keystone herbivores. While human infection remains theoretical today, health authorities worldwide are watching CWD with growing alarm. As the World Health Organization stated, the possibility that a significant threat to human health could emerge cannot be dismissed. So, Earth doesn't have a zombie apocalypse. Yet. This invisible killer continues spreading through America's forests, turning deer into hollow shells of themselves. Our alien observer can sleep soundly, knowing humans aren't currently at risk, but nature's warning is clear. Sometimes, reality is more terrifying than fiction.